One sad fact about the future of York City Football Club is that within a decade, this great old football ground where I'm standing now, Bootham Crescent, will have disappeared forever, and the football club will have moved out to a brand new facility somewhere in the city of York. Today I've come to speak to Ian McAndrew, the director responsible for the new stadium development, to find out how things are progressing. Ian, before we move on to talk about the new stadium project, could you briefly explain to people that don't know why York City Football Club can't stay here at Bootham Crescent?
Yeah, really quite simply. When we negotiated the buyback of the ground and the Football Foundation supported us with a loan, and Jason and Terry negotiated that transaction, and a fantastic transaction it was, the Football Foundation don't invest in old stadiums. So the deal was, effectively and in very simple terms, you can stay here for a length of time and we will support you and we will give you a loan, not a grant. We are entitled to a grant, but to do that we have to move to a new stadium. So some timescales were put in, and it is established now that we simply can't stay here. We have to move within a 10-year period from the loan being granted to a new stadium.
Now, although we're being forced to move more or less, ultimately the commercial reality would be that we would have to move anyway if we were going to make this club financially sustainable.
Absolutely. I'm glad you've used that word, sustainable. This stadium, great as it's been since 1920 odd, for York, great location if you think about it, it's readily accessible, bit of a walk but nothing anybody can't do, but it does not provide the facilities for income generation that is needed outside football. We as a club need an income source, a steady income source to help our cash flow, our monthly cash flow. We can't just keep going up and down, and it has limited facilities. We're sitting in a facility you can see that we've enhanced, and that was all Jason's doing, and it's great, but it's still limited. We need extra income to be able to support and sustain a quality team and the money it's going to cost to run a quality team. So sustainability is a big issue.
Now, let's think about the new stadium. With all the legal wrangles and dealing with the council and various other things, it must be a daily nightmare for you.
I do it in my job every day, so I am used to it. It's frustrating at times, not because of anybody's fault, because of the system. The planning system in this country is very complicated. It's slow. You know that a new report's just been released to say that we should be speeding up planning as far as we can, but public consultation's important. It takes forever, and you've got to work through policies that are set both nationally and locally. So inevitably, you know, it's a slow process, and there are lots and lots of things, lots of people involved. Highways people have a different view than the leisure people, who have a different view than the housing people, or various other departments. But to be fair, and this is important to say right from the start, York City Council are working with us closely, and are extremely supportive.
So at what stage is the project at this very moment?
To tell you where the project is, I have to take you into the city of York and just forget for 1 minute a football stadium, because that's where it all starts. The city of York, and it can get a bit dull, doesn't at the moment have an adopted local plan. It was nearly there, it was getting there, and the government changed the system to develop what's now called a local development framework, and York are running on that new policy at this moment and as we speak. And that is a document that will set the vision for the city, where you want houses, how many houses you want, where you want industrial premises, how much you will need, where you want offices, where you want leisure facilities, be there sports fields, a football stadium and the like. That document is not going to be in place until 2008. But you can imagine that a football stadium, or a stadium for the city of York that has multi-use for sport, is a big part. It's a big part of that document, and that's out to public consultation. We have progressed in the last year quite significantly, in as much as the possibility of a community stadium for the city is now included in all the consultation documents for that new local development framework, and that's a big issue. And what we have persuaded them to look at strongly is, do we want a stadium for York City, because that would have different requirements than a stadium for the city of York, an iconic stadium, not necessarily the size of the Emirates or anything of that, a size suitable for the city, but a stadium where other things can happen. That, of course, can then generate income, and we would be a major stakeholder in any new stadium.